Alright, we have a tremendous problem in the fighting game genre. The sad thing is, it's a problem that's silent. The companies don't recognize it or even knows that it exists. Being honest, I don't even know if they really care. And we consumers, we can feel it, but we can't exactly put our fingers on why the genre has experienced the ebbs and flows since almost the death of the arcade era. What exactly is the problem? Well, it's a lot of things, but at its core, it's one word: evolution. No, not that evolution either. A debate that I come across pretty often when it comes to fighting games online with my friends and family, or even on this channel, it's this. At the end of the day, the most important thing in a fighting game is the fighting. How does the gameplay actually function? And being honest, this is true, just not in the exact way that people think it does. The truth is, obviously, when you're playing a fighting game, how you fight, the button layout, the depth of the fighting system, the playstyles, and all its variations in the game are all heavily important, but they are also subjective. I had someone recently tell me that Mortal Kombat 4 is their favorite fighting game of all time, and they wish the franchise went back to that playstyle. Absolutely blew my mind. Personally, I love Mortal Kombat 4 and thought it was a lot of fun. Hell, occasionally I'll still play it now. But it's far from my favorite. I thought the game was broken, the controls were janky as hell, the animation looked iffy. There's so much wrong with the gameplay, and even graphically the game looks a little wonky compared to other fighting games at the time. But then I thought about it. Despite its flaws, I still love that game. I personally love Street Fighter 3rd Strike, and I completely get why it's widely considered to be one of the greatest fighting games, if not 2D fighters of all time. But I'd also be lying if I said that there aren't 10 other fighting games that I played before I played 3rd Strike as well. Hell, I do it regularly. I don't go back to 3rd Strike as often as I should, considering it's the greatest fighting game of all time in theory, right? And a lot of people don't. For that game to be as goated as people say it is, you don't even see people playing it online as much as you would think. Hell, there's still a lot of people that I know that didn't really play 3rd Strike that often when it was released for a multitude of reasons. And that's the thing. Whatever game it is that you like, there are people who love and hate the exact same game for different reasons. And gameplay actually is a big factor. Why someone may play one game may not necessarily be the reason why they play the next, including that very game's sequel. So as far as I can see, this is what I've broken it down to. Gameplay in a fighting game is highly important in that it just can't feel bad. That's it. We've gotten away from the fact that at the end of the day, a video game just needs to be fun. The problem is that that doesn't really explain anything either, because again, fun and not fun, good and bad, it's all subjective. And that's the biggest problem in fighting games. The thing that separates MKX from MK1 the most, what separates Street Fighter 6 from Street Fighter 3rd Strike, what separates Tekken 8 from Tekken 5, is the gameplay. And it's a selling point for some reason. And why is this even happening? For what? To appease competitive players? They complain about the game in the same exact aspects that a lot of casuals will. I see a lot of streamers play fighting games all the time and play online and absolutely hate the game or are miserable. They play it because their thing to do is playing fighting games, but it's like there's always a game that they enjoy playing more than the ones that you see them playing, at least in a modern sense, online. It's the weirdest thing. And let's be real, there are only a small pocket of players in the grand scheme of video games as a whole that play in tournaments or play online when it comes to fighting games. So, considering how subjective gameplay is, what else is there when it comes to a fighting game for us to have in modern times? Well, damn near nothing. If we were to look back at any other genre of video games going almost 20 years back, how would that genre look compared to today? How would NBA 2K compare to NBA 2K25? How would a WWF No Mercy or a SmackDown 2 Know Your Role compare to a WWE 2K25? How would a first-person shooter or RPG of 99 or 2000 compare to one created in 2024 or 2025? Well, let me go back just a second to a game that I've just previously mentioned. I brought up WWF No Mercy, a wrestling game made in the year 2000, widely considered to be the greatest wrestling game of all time. Fans frustrated by the functionality of modern 2K games actually prefer the No Mercy game style on the N64 more than anything else. However, as we saw in 2023 when AEW Fight Forever was released, that game's big selling point was to make a game that was close to a modern No Mercy as possible, which was its problem. No Mercy, while a legendary game that some people still play today, was a moment in time. The expectation of what people want in a wrestling game is too vast with modern WWE 2K games to give us what No Mercy gave us in the year 2000 in the year 2025. Yet somehow, AEW Fight Forever, instead of giving us No Mercy gameplay and leaning all other features of the game in the direction of WWE 2K, which essentially is what its audience wanted more than anything else, they gave us actually less than what was in No Mercy in the year 2000. And wrestling game fans didn't respond very well to this, and the game bombed as a result, which honestly is a shame. I think in most other genres, if you gave them the bare bones of what was expected 20 to 25 years ago, with today's updated graphics and charged $70 for it, they probably wouldn't go for that either. Except if you're a fighting game fan. Tekken 7 is one of the first Tekken games that I can remember that didn't have survival mode, time attack mode, and team battle mode. All the features that were present in Tekken games since 1995. The thought of, well, nobody plays those modes anyways, should never ever be a factor when it comes to a fighting game, because it's aspects of a fighting game that we've just come to expect over the years from playing them. Why are we losing modes? And yet, not only did they get away with doing this, they charged you for frame data. They charged you even more money to give you less content than the previous games. How is this acceptable? It should be an outright crime that I can actually find more to do playing Mortal Kombat Armageddon from 2006 than Mortal Kombat 1 in 2023. And it's a shame when you think about how hard the developers worked to make that game. But seriously, Mortal Kombat fans, what's the one thing you could say that you got more of in Mortal Kombat 1 than in Mortal Kombat Armageddon? It would be pretty much the capabilities of online and the cinema quality story. But here's the thing, while that is true, both online and story was present in the games in 2006. Obviously, I'm not saying the quality of online or the story mode was better back then, but you still had it. Plus, they gave you a mini racing game and Creator Fighter, which is a feature that hasn't made a return in the entire series since then. Street Fighter was released in 2016 with practically no features on release, at the full price of $60, which is still outrageous to me. Could you imagine buying a television and they give you the box with a remote in it and tell you, in 6 to 8 months we'll give you the rest of the television then? But in any event, people argue that when the game cycle was finished, they actually gave you the bells and whistles that you expected in a fighting game, and that the game was really decent by the end result. But about those bells and whistles, at the end of the day, what were they? You got a story mode, more characters, a survival mode, a system to buy colors and skins, an arcade mode. Yes, even arcade mode was missing. It pretty much gave you the things that you've had in fighting games, again, dating back to the 2000s. The argument could be made that being is that the game looked so good and it played so beautifully that that's okay. But again, it should look good. It was a PS4 game in 2016. And the gameplay, as I said earlier, is subjective. It just needs to avoid being universally rejected more than anything else. How much more or less upset would fans have been if Street Fighter V's gameplay was extremely similar, if not the same, to Street Fighter Third Strike or Street Fighter 4? So if games naturally improve in graphical capabilities over time, like they should, why are we, the consumer base, accepting that with lesser amounts of content for increasing amounts of money? These games aren't getting any cheaper anytime soon. DLC packs and microtransactions will continue to become a thing because honestly the toothpaste is out of the tube as far as that's concerned with video games. But with the prices of games going up, how long do these companies expect us to keep buying them while giving us less and less as time moves on? Because honestly, that's been a slow growing trend. To be perfectly honest, I've complained about Street Fighter as much of a fan as I am of the series for a long time because every game gives us the exact same feature set damn near from the games previous. If you look at Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo or you look at Street Fighter Alpha 3 or Street Fighter Third Strike, how many more features are they giving you back in the 90s compared to what they were giving us in like 2016 or 2009? Honestly, not much more. Street Fighter's praised for its gameplay, but again, that's subjective and it's a fighting game. The fighting should be a thing in the game to begin with, so why are we accepting that like, oh, it's great that they gave us this again. It should be good and it should be there. It's a fighting game. Why are they being praised for this? All that being said, I actually commend Capcom for World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6. They tried something different and gave us something along with the core gameplay mechanics that was actually fun and something different for Street Fighter. They never attempted anything like that before, and honestly, that's what fighting games need to do more of. These were modes that Mortal Kombat routinely gave us in the mid-2000s, but for whatever reason, we've accepted less and less over time. So giving credit where credit is due, I'm gonna give a tip of the hat to Capcom for at least trying to give its fan base something that we're not accustomed to in order to move forward. That's honestly what these games need to be doing. More innovation and evolution instead of finding ways to charge us to devolve. Now more than ever, it feels like fighting games are spinning in their wheels. It seems like the same pattern of fighting games is just going to continue until the end of time. These companies are focused on unnecessary gameplay mechanics, microtransactions, DLC packs, movie quality story modes, and guest characters. As a casual, I'd honestly say that having a story mode in the game is cool. But if I'm barely gonna touch the game after it's finished because there's not really anything else to do in the game or any other reason to touch the game outside of just playing online or playing in arcade mode, which again is just versus at the end of the day because it is a fighting game, it's what the genre is. All of this means that there's something wrong with the genre and it needs to evolve and change. And this is not just me complaining about one game, it's a borderline genre-wide problem. Wrap your head around the fact that in an age where sports games like NBA 2K allow you today to completely control and alter a league way into almost 80 years into the future, change rules, contracts, teams, players, and everything in between, on top of how vast its online capabilities are to be able to go to different courts and travel to different places and ride around and engage in a city of basketball players and all the different things that come with it. Again, its microtransactions is its own problem, and God is it bad in that game. But we're getting all these capabilities in games like that, and it still is not even a common feature in fighting games in 2025 for you to be able to simply make your own fighter. Again, a feature that was present in games in the 2000s isn't widely accepted as a thing almost 25 years later. And people will argue that there's not a demand for something like Create a Fighter. But that's the problem. There should be. There needs to be a demand for more instead of accepting less. This isn't the sole reason why I feel like the genre keeps dying and coming back, and dying and coming back. But it damn sure ain't helping either. I'm hoping against hope that things will change, but I'm not really holding my breath on that either. It just feels like fighting games have gotten complacent, especially with the recent series of games that have come out. And as fighting game players, we feel it each time we start suffering from burnout from doing the same old thing in every entry game after game. If it wasn't for the actual communities of the streamers and whatnot playing these games and going to conventions and stuff like that, I honestly feel like it would be on death's door as an entire genre right now. But it isn't, and there's still hope out there for it. I just wish more could be done because it seems that way for most other genres. Almost every other kind of game has moved far forward from where it was 20 to 30 years ago. The FGC cannot continue to be the only community that continues to praise games for barely giving us a feature set in 2025 that was commonplace almost as far back as 25 or 30 years ago, or in some cases give us even less. Arcade modes, survival modes, time challenges, combo trials, story modes, gameplay. That is the bare minimum for a fighting game. We had most of those things, if not all of them, as far back as the 90s. I know I sound very entitled right now, but for $70 USD, we should be expecting these as players. But the thing is, we're not always getting the bare minimum from these fighting games, and we're also not really getting anything new either. I try not to make downer videos like this, but something needs to be said about the state of fighting games and where its future's headed. Because honestly, in my mind, there are a lot of questions. But what do you think? Do you think the fighting games are going to get any better as the future moves on, or do you think it's just going to get worse? Let me know in the comments. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't. And you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Choose and pick the best one.